Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Green Room Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell, fresh off of Christmas
Yes.
holiday break. How are you feeling?
Slightly sick, but it's okay.
Slightly sick?
Norma got sick on Christmas Eve, and then we went to her parents. For everyone that doesn't know, she's Hispanic, so we went to the whole thing they do on Christmas Eve, and she couldn't party, she couldn't hang. We had to leave early, and then she's been sick since.
How many shots did you take at this party?
I couldn't take any shots because we had to leave early. I took one, and then I had a
Mm.
beer, and then I had to give my gift away for Secret Santa and announce it to everybody.
Oh,
Um, and then I kissed baby Jesus a lot, and then I hugged everybody at midnight.
Colin has had some crazy parties at Norma's family's house.
There have been some crazy parties.
Let's just
I remember
say that.
when I got COVID. The time I got COVID, I had too many to drink, and I started doing the stanky leg because we went in a circle. We went in the circle, right? And it was like you had to pick a card up, and it was like either tell a truth,
Yeah.
but the person who drew the card got to decide or something. Like I couldn't decide, and it was like a truth or dare. And they're like, "I dare you to do a dance," and I was like, "Well, I ain't got nothing else in the wheelhouse." So
Here's a yeah, I think that truth or dance should be a new game, like at family game night or something.
yeah,
We might have just came up with something. And you have to draw for the dance, be like, all right, stanky
you just
leg or
draw for the dance is crazy.
soldier boy,
Soldier Boy.
the worm. Like you could just go on and on.
That's a great idea. You should do that. You should pursue that, Bernie.
Honestly, truth or dance,
Truth or dance.
coming to a local Walmart near you.
Yeah, I think we
Very
gotta start
soon.
Dollar General though first, but yeah,
Okay, we'll work our way up. We'll work our way up. My Christmas was great, Colin. Thank you for asking.
you didn't give me a chance to ask.
It was we had my my nephew and my niece in. They're they're almost 5 and almost 2. So so you tell me if I'm wrong here. I went shopping for both of them, and for Marcus, he's almost 5.
Mm-hmm.
I got him probably like $40 worth of stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 different things. Probably adds up to about $40. For my niece, she's almost 2. I got her one thing, and she's a big Moana fan. I got her the pig Pua as like a stuffed or not stuffed, but it's like and it like moves if you press the ear, that type of stuff.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was about $16.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's fair to get $40 for Marcus and $16 for my niece, or do you
That's
think it
2.
should have been more even?
2-year-old's not gonna remember anything.
Thank you. That's my point, right?
Who got on you about this?
That's my point. All right,
Did
is
she get
that
on you about this? The 2-year-old?
it was no no. It was and she loved the gift. She loved Pua, right? She was carrying it around. I could show you a picture. But I was just like, some people were like, hey, maybe you should even it out a little bit. I'm like, she's 2. If I give her something to hold on to for a week, I've succeeded.
Yeah. The
So
only thing you do with like a 2-year-old is give them something that you hope doesn't get destroyed, and then they cherish it later. But
exactly.
5-year-old, that $40 is well spent. You
Like-
might lose that $16 in a couple days.
Exactly. Like I think about my earliest memory.
Yeah,
and
what
I'm
is your
like,
earliest memory?
I feel like I remember kindergarten a little bit. No, I feel like I remember some pre-K.
You got to remember further back than that. Jesus Christ.
Okay, pre-K, I remember going to like the pre-K school.
How old are
like,
you in pre-K?
I didn't go to pre-K. 4, right? I was probably 4.
Oh, see, I remember before that.
You remember 4?
Yeah. My earliest memory is
9/11.
I was. First of all, I'm a year older than you, so I was almost 5 when 9/11 happened.
You were not 5.
2001, I would have been.
4.5. Yeah, 4. December. You were born December 20.
7, 8, 9. Yeah, I would have been almost 5.
December 96. You were born.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember 99 because I lived in these blue apartments, and I remember making shadow puppets on my wall, and also my dad told me not to cough, so I started holding my breath, and he got so mad at me, dude. So that's my earliest memory, probably. I don't remember which one happened chronologically, but the second one in those same apartments was when I wore a huge Red Wings coat, and it was it was the first 4th of July. I remember, and my dad lit fireworks, and I thought he was lighting grass on fire, and it was exploding, and I started crying. Yeah, so.
No, I think pre-K is about as far back as I can go. I don't think I can
Man,
do much.
got some
much more than that.
damage. That's
I
crazy.
mean, I don't remember the Spurs 03 title, and I was 5.
You don't remember the Spurs 03 title?
I remember the 05 title vividly. Like I was
Interesting.
7. I remember that. So
I remember watching the Pistons in the 04 playoffs
04.
against the Pacers. We played the Pacers in the.
I'm
pretty sure
the Pacers were always there. Okay. All right. That's story time with Bruni and Colin. Let's talk football.
Did you do 9/11? It's crazy. I can't believe you said that.
Do you remember 9/11?
Yes. Why would you have a national? Sorry, tangent. Why would you have a national emergency and then replay that thing over and over and over and over and over again on the TV? Isn't that crazy to you? Like imagine a nuke goes off and you're just like, wow, let's just watch that go off over and over. Yeah, I remember because my dad, we had that huge, I say huge, it was probably small box TV, and my mom just starts crying, and I look over the TV, and it's just, and then my dad's just
we
like,
shouldn't be laughing at this. First of all, we're not laughing at we're laughing at Collins.
Yeah,
replaying it.
It's stupid to do the It was on I think it was called Fox and Friends. That's what it was. Because it was Fox News, and I remember that stupid little turning thing. But yeah, why would you have a national emergency just over and over again? It makes no sense. Yeah, but I remember that.
Yeah, that I again, I've seen is like the documentaries and stuff on it, and it does seem like they did play it a lot. Like
it was over and over and over again. This is basically the only thing I remember from that.
Did you ever? Okay, actually, we're not going to just start talking about 9/11. Okay, let's talk football. Let's talk North Texas football.
Jesus. Actually, we're not going to start talking about 9/11.
So there's a lot of places we can start. All right, this is going to be a pretty busy podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to start at a place where I think it's the most like hot button topic right now, and it's the quarterback position.
Yeah.
When we finished the last podcast, I don't know how long after, it was announced Stone Earl's coming back to North Texas. He's no longer going back to Abilene Christian. He said, all right, I'm coming to North Texas. And this coincided, I think, with North Texas being obviously out of quarterbacks, but then it's seemingly the transfer portal pool kind of shrinking a little bit. It felt like, all right, we're running a little bit out of options here, and players are starting to decide, and we don't have a quarterback. So, all right, Stone, come back as an insurance policy. They get him back. Then as the week progresses, it's probably been I don't know how long since we did a podcast, but Braylon Braxton transferred from Tulsa, was between Marshall and North Texas. He selects Marshall, and then North Texas offers Diego Pavia out of New Mexico State, who had a really good year there. So with all of that happening, are you concerned? Are you optimistic? Are you faithful? Or like, where are you at in terms of emotions with the quarterback position right now? Like, how do you feel?
Two things. And Eric Morse, I trust. I don't know about you.
Yes.
And Eric Morse, I trust. So whatever ends up happening, I expect the offense to be good. But
we say that though. We say that.
But we saw Stone Earl before. And the fact that we're not offering more quarterbacks is scary to me. Like we had just those two, I'm pretty sure, right?
I haven't seen another one. If there's another one,
let us know. But there's only two, and this guy has been offered by also UTS, according to his Twitter, UTSA.
You said Washington State,
Western Kentucky, and then if you scroll down, there's a bunch of smaller schools. Nevada, like he's gonna have offers, so he also has to make a decision. It's not like here we go, North Texas.
Yeah.
So that Stone Earl coming back being the craziest thing I'd ever hear in my life is starting to kind of become a reality, and I'm kind of scared of that specifically.
Yeah. That's why I thought Braxton was such a big deal. I mean, you get to a final two with you and Marshall, and a guy who's from the DFW area. I watched him play high school football at Frisco Independence, and he goes to Marshall. That is a little concerning. I don't know the details of what went into that, but on paper, in theory, you have North Texas coming off a year where Chandler Rogers had an awesome year. As an offense, they were like a top 20 offense. Marshall, meanwhile, struggled. You have a defensive head coach there in Charles Huff. You are obviously farther from home than you were at Tulsa or would be at North Texas. So a lot of things in North Texas favor there, and they lose that battle.
Yeah.
And I think that is alarming to me because while, like you said, we trust in Eric Morris, and I have full faith in, like, the way I've described it is he is someone who I trust as a playmaker way more than, or as a play caller, way more than I did Seth Luttrell. I think he is able to get the most out of the quarterbacks in a way that Luttrell was not able to. But at the same time, Stone Earl, like, how low are we going here as far as like like at a certain point there's a cutoff, right? There's only so much you can do with X amount of talent
Here's the
here.
thing. Here's the thing to mention too, and I'm not sure you can speak more to this than me. Let me find the thing here. Yeah. So the transfer portal on 3 has Diego Pavia rated as a, I guess he's unrated, but he was 80.
I see him as an 88.
Okay, you see him as an 88. Whenever he entered, it was no stars then. Okay. So
yeah.
never mind. That gets to my point. I was going to ask, someone was an 84, or was, I guess.
Okay, so Stone Earl's an 84, Pavia's an 88.
88
I'm
down.
scrolling down a bit, and I still think there are quality quarterback options in the portal. Now, will they go to North Texas? I don't know. Casey Thompson is an 87, transfer out of FAU, was formerly of the Texas to Nebraska, wherever. Chandler Morris from TCU, he's a Highland Park kid. He's also an 87. Then you have some, kind of backups, I guess, in there from bigger schools. It's like ultimately there are still options. I've mentioned Jerry Bohannon before. Robbie Ashford from Auburn is an 86. I think he's actually really interesting. He's rated 1 above Braylon Braxton. I think they're very similar type of players. So again, there are options here for the man. Here's another thing that doesn't make sense here is Braylon Braxton committed to Marshall, and they had already gotten a transfer quarterback commit in Mitch Griffiths from Wake Forest, who started some games there. This doesn't make sense. And
it is interesting.
It is a bad loss. Like, to lose Braxton, if they were legitimately pushing for him, which it seems like they were, is a pretty bad loss. Like, there's no real way to sugarcoat it. So now you're in Pavia, and like you said, Pavia is much farther from a slam dunk than Braxton was. So now, how far down the list will they go before it's just like, all right, we have Stone Row? Yeah, I don't think you can give up.
And not only that, I don't know. Like you mentioned, bigger schools backups being in the transfer portal. We've seen that time and time again fail in the past with other schools and at North Texas.
Jace Ruder.
Jace Ruder, Alec Morris. We thought he was going to be really, really, really good, and he just was kind of okay. And then Mason took him. Like, you go through the list over the last eight years, and it's like, who's gonna pan out here? If it is Stone Earl, does your faith go down?
It's gonna have to be the work Morris is gonna have to do is gonna be incredible. He's gonna have to call like a perfect game.
Or do you just run out Cash McCollum?
We could get to that point.
Like, obviously I don't watch high school football. I have no idea how good or bad he is or how he plays, but
North Texas fans love him. First of all, but it's obviously we've seen a lot of freshman quarterback, and again, this was under a different regime, but the biggest thing with Luttrell was that they were unable to develop quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
They were unable to get the most out of a Will Keeney and guys like that. So maybe you roll him out there, but the problem is also Tate Rodemaker's in the portal, guy from Florida State. Like, I'm just going down the list here, and there are still quarterbacks left. I don't think they're going to stop swinging. I don't think they should stop swinging, because even after the portal window closes, that's only as far as entries go. They can still sign players after that point. And I think you need to have a quarterback going into spring ball. Like, that's bottom line. You have to have a quarterback, or at least a quarterback competition going into spring ball. Right now, they have Stone Earl and JD Head. And JD Head's coming off an injury. So it's like,
I'm pretty sure Cash McCollum also early
enrolled. Cash McCollum, sorry. Did he early enrolled? That's usually how it goes for freshman quarterbacks.
I'm pretty sure he early enrolled.
So, yeah, you have that quarterback room. I would like somebody. I'm just scrolling down the list here, and I see players that I would take on this team. Drew Pine from Arizona State I've seen play. Kai Horton from Tulane, maybe a little bit of a reach, but I think he's decent. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do think that's the hot button topic point, a talking point. I think missing Braxton is substantial, and if they can hit Pavia, great. But that's looking like what, maybe like a 25% chance of happening or something like that, or
I mean, who know?
30%.
Who knows? I thought we had Braxton, so I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some other transfer portal additions here. Running back Trey Bradford from LSU, wide receiver DT Sheffield, and cornerback David Spruilis.
Something
David
like that.
Sproles.
I was hoping
Sproles.
you had it. I thought it was gonna be
Sproles.
like
I'm gonna say Sproles. I
it
think that's
sounds. I feel like it's got to be Sproles, right?
all right. David Sproles. Sproles is the highest rated as far as on threes transfer portal rankings at 87. Bradford 86. Sheffield 84. Bradford. So obviously LSU. I've seen Bradford a lot of the last 3 years. He was someone who was like on the program and then went to Oklahoma for a year and then was back on the program, almost like a walk on, but then he was like awarded a scholarship. I don't know how to describe it. Regardless, Bradford is someone I think is a really good get for them. I think this is this fills the shoes of like an Oscar Attaway pretty quickly to
Yeah.
me. I'm not saying he's going to go out and rush for 1,000 yards. I don't know. Obviously they have enough talent already. They're not deficient at the running back position per se. They just have to replace Aday and Ragsdale and Johnson. So I like Trey Bradford. I think he's a really solid back. He's an experienced back. I think this will be year 6 for him. So you get 1 year of him. You get Patrick Cobbs to work with him.
Year
I
6.
really don't have concerns on that front.
It says you graduated in 2020, unless that is from the second time he came back.
He he left and then came back and then left, and I honestly can't recite his whole. But what class was he? I think it was class 2019 or 2020.
2020, so it wouldn't be year 4.
Yeah, he's had a trip.
That's
He's had a
crazy.
trip. Let me just say. But anyways, yeah, I like him out of Lancaster, former 4-star guy. Obviously, the receiver and corner we don't know a ton about, but those are positions of need, right? Those are spots where we're like, all right, well, I like Rich Tejada and Lorenzo Thompson and some of the freshmen in the back end, but I still think getting a veteran corner / DB, you always take that at this point. And
No,
North
that
Texas
to add
isn't
depth.
really, North Texas is not in a position to turn anybody away.
Yeah, exactly.
You cast a wide net and you don't really filter through that. I think you got to cast a wide net and just take as much as you can get there. So Sproles, 87 rated. So On3 likes him. I like him then. And you kind of work backwards from there. DT Sheffield coming over from Washington State. You wonder if that's a connection from Eric Morris, his 1 year there. So that's, Morris at least knows. That's one of the big things with the portal that when you talk to coaches, it's like the backups are hard to gauge because you haven't seen them and
Right.
you are obviously taking a risk, maybe even more so than high school players. But if the coach has a connection, like Morris probably did with Sheffield, then you're able to have those practices and I'll have all those reps where you've seen them. So
Yeah.
I like that addition. Sproles is out of Northern Arizona. And those are the only 3 recent additions. We've covered the other 7 to this point.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry. Jensen Walker is a long snapper out of, where is this?
I don't even know where that is.
Southeastern Missouri, SEMO.
Nice.
So yeah, you feel good about those portal additions here?
I think I'm the most excited about Trey Bradford. I know that he's had a storied last few years, but I think getting Zach Evans and him, like you said, instantly kind of refills and re-energizes that backfield. And not only that, maybe could possibly be better. I mean, obviously Oscar Attaway and Iodeu are really good, but I think you get a lot of upside with a guy like Trey Bradford.
Yeah. Bradford actually on the very first play of LSU season against Florida State caught a pass and took it about 60 yards. Very first play. He didn't play much the rest of the season, but like he was in game
See,
one.
catching passes, that's what we need. That's why
Yeah.
Eric Boyce wants us as running backs.
No, he's a good player. So now you have a running back room of Ragsdale, Bradford, and Evans, and Colin Farrar still on the roster, I believe, too. So the running back position was never a real concern for me. I knew they'd get some players, and running backs are, Ade certainly deserves credit for what he did, and Attaway as well. But that's not in this offense. Receivers more important, quarterbacks obviously more important. Like, I think that's where you go. So we'll see what else they do. I think you have to add another receiver, in my opinion. I think they're gonna have to add. Well, they've added a couple offensive linemen, so I think they're better there. And then what? Linebackers, probably.
Yeah, I was trying to see if we missed anybody, but we didn't. But yes.
Corner.
Yes,
I mean,
linebacker.
BJ Allen at safety. We talked about.
And
Xavier Bryce.
Xavier Bryce, yeah.
Safety we talked about. So, I mean, Joseph Jean Lewis, out of Iowa State, linebacker. So, yeah, they're starting to fill needs. I think they're at 10 so far, 10 players in. So, roster's feeling a little bit better than it was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And then, real quickly, we can touch on this. North Texas 2024 signing class. Don't have to go too deep into it, but on On3's industry rankings, they are 80th in the country, 6th in the AAC. I believe 24/7 has them 4th in the American. So somewhere in that 4 to 6 range. Took 27 players, which is a good amount. But how do I describe this? This is so there are some teams, I think like UTSA, for instance, took like 14 or 15. But UTSA is in the situation where, and this is where some teams are, is without a cap limit at 25, you can take as many as you need. And you can also, with the transfer portal, take maybe like 14. And that's what UTSA did, is where they aren't losing players to the portal as much. So they don't have as much room at the top to get to that 85-minute man cap. And because of that, Jeff Traylor takes a 14-man signing class, and he'll take some transfers, and he'll get to that limit. But like retention is the big thing.
Yeah.
Once you get to being a good program, like UTSA is under Traylor, you'll lose. Like they lost the edge more to Texas, but other than that, you're fighting to keep most of your guys. So that's kind of where you want to get to as a program. But I like them taking a big class, 27 signees, and then you add the 11 transfers, so 38 new players onto the roster.
Not only that, continues getting players from Texas and close to Denton. I mean, average distance 154 miles according to On3, and the rating keeps going up from last year. So that's all positive signs. Like overall rating, average rating.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Everybody, 93% of these are within the state of Texas. Like you said, I mean, they're all like, what, 2 hours away on average?
Yeah, 2.5, 2 hours, yeah.
And this is what we talked about with Gabe Blair and Landon Sides. And even if you go, some of the freshmen who are from like Houston, I think most of them are, got a couple North Shore guys, but South Oak Cliff, I think they got a couple as well. So, you get the Texas guys, I think you have a better shot at keeping them. I think that's the case across the country. I mean, LSU people talk about keeping Louisiana guys in state because you have a better chance of keeping them. It's the same thing everywhere. Oklahoma people talk about Oklahoma and Dallas. So I like this group. Jaden Smith at receiver is the highest rated player on On3 and 24/7, 87 on both fronts. 24/7 has him as the number 66 receiver in the country, if I'm not mistaken, or is he an athlete on this site? No, he's a receiver. So, no, he is an athlete on the site. So yeah, you get a highly rated 3-star receiver there that I assume can come in and play immediately. You work down defensive line, Jaden Langley, 87 on On3, 106 defense lineman in the country. So yeah, good group. I do think Jaden Petaway, also from Angleton, Texas, 86 on On3 and 24/7. So, you're like we talked about last year, they're starting to pick it up where it's like, all right, now the floor is like 84, 85.
Yeah.
Whereas previously the floor was 82.
Not only that,
MBB.
you're beating out schools that normally in the past would beat out North Texas. For example, when Jaden Smith, Washington Huskies offered him, and North Texas got him over them.
Yeah, Boston College, Nebraska, um, those type of teams. And then I wonder if you go down, brings up an interesting point here. Let's see, Jaden Langley, yeah, Arizona, SMU, Sam Houston goes to North Texas. So those are the competitions the North Texas will be in at this point. And I think as the on-field product continues to improve, I think that's where we'll see it be like, all right, now you can take on those type of teams, like especially the Big 12 teams now. Like it's going to be Colorado and Arizona and Texas Tech and
Right.
TCU and Baylor and those teams. So can you start stealing from them a little bit? That's going to be the interesting thing to me.
I agree.
All right. Last thing, we can wrap up the podcast. Basketball. Let's do a quick basketball recap. I watched a bit of the North Texas versus UT Arlington game. We were both busy at the time, but I was able to watch a little bit. Go back. I mean, they beat the brakes off them, 78-52. Perhaps this and Towson were definitely the two most impressive results of the year,
Yeah.
right? Two blowout wins. Does it change anything? There's one game left before conference play, so I want to start setting expectations. And that one game is LSU Shreveport, which is I don't remember what Shreveport is. I think they're Division II in the IA. I don't remember what it is. So let's start setting expectations here. January 4th is the first game. Wichita
Yep.
State on the road. They're 81st in KenPom right now, which is fourth behind FAU, Memphis,
North
and
Texas
SMU.
is.
North Texas is.
Yeah.
What do you think? What are your expectations now?
I don't know how much we can take away from a UT Arlington team that is not in the top 150 in KenPom. They're 179.
Mhm.
Wichita State is 112. I think I just 117. So you're playing on paper what is a significantly harder opponent. So all I want to see is that you can continue this against a worse team, I'll say, to conference play. We saw Rondo Walker. He had 7 points in, I think, like 12 minutes, something like that. What were the stats? I have closed them up.
Here, I can get it. I can get it. 14
I got
minutes.
him. 14 minutes. So he looked pretty good. But we've also seen this team do good against, like I said, worse teams. So I want to see them do it against Wichita State, and I don't know what expectation I can put on. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd like to say that they're not going to have these terrible shooting droughts in conference play. So with that being said, I mean, I'd expect them to win that game. If you want to set overall conference, then we can, I guess. But I think it's way too. It's like the Pistons now, right? It's way too. For anyone who doesn't know, get your Wingstop when they finally win. They're free 5 wings once they finally win. 27 loss streak. It's almost like an unsustainable amount of like poor shooting during stretches. I don't see how that can continue. I think they figure it out. But I don't know how much you can take away from a UT Arlington game.
Well, yeah, I mean the problem is like against UT Arlington, they went 12 of 27. It's like they have these games where they shoot 45% from three, and it brings everything up. But then you have like games against Fordham, right, where they go 5 of 13 from three. That's 38%. It's 39%. First of all, only 13 threes isn't enough.
Yeah, they shot one in the second half, I think.
Yeah. But secondly, it's like when you need to make threes, this team is not a reliable 3-point shooting team. In UT Arlington, CJ Nolan went 3 of 3 from three. Or I'm sorry, 3 of 5 from three.
Yeah.
Right. John Buggs went 4 of 5 from three. So maybe that's what they needed. Maybe this sparks the turnaround in those two to be like, hey, I'm gonna be a high level 3-point shooter. Because now CJ Nolan is up to 10 of 26 on the year. John Buggs is now 17 of 46 on the year. That's great. But in the losses, John Buggs is 1 of 7 against Mississippi State, 0 of 4 against Boise State. He was 2 of 4 against Fordham, 4 of 8 against LSU, which is great. So it's like, all right, can we sustain that?
Yeah.
Can we sustain that if we're Buggs, if we're Nolan? Like those are the two. And now you have Rondell Walker who comes in, and I love him as kind of a slashing wing that can defend. 3-point shooting wise, he wasn't great. He hasn't been great in his career. He's career 29% shooter, 66 of 225. So I'm not expecting him to be a great shooter, but I do think they need more rim pressure. So that's why I think he's valuable, because Bugs and Nolan are not giving you any rim pressure. I mean, heck, you're barely getting any rim pressure from your fives,
Yeah.
right? Sissoko and Allen. So we'll see how it goes. I do think he's a high level defender. I feel really good about him. I mean, heck, last year or 2 years ago at Oklahoma State, he was top 30 in the country in steal percentage. Like, this is a guy who I think is a great compliment to Ruben and Aaron. So, all right, if Kim Pom has them at 11-7 in conference,
Yeah,
like
I
that's their
was looking at that
projected.
right now.
Do you like? Would that be a good year? Do you think they need to get to 12? Like, what do you think here?
If you were to tell me 11-7 before the season, I'd be disappointed.
Okay, well, going into the season, what we both said coming third. Third was the
Yes,
goal, because FAU and Memphis, for those who aren't paying attention, are
are
on
insane.
a different
Yeah.
world right now.
Yeah,
They
Memphis
are,
is ranked 19th and Florida Atlantic is ranked 7th. And
yeah,
we play Florida Atlantic twice.
yeah. So honestly, as much as I hate to say it, those 3 games, the 2 FAU and the 1 Memphis game, like those are probably 3 losses.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately.
So the rest are gonna be like, you have SMU twice, home and away. You need to split
That's an
those.
important game.
You need to split those. Preferably win at home, especially since the first one was at home on January 25th. But the problem is the bottom of this conference isn't as bad as what Conference USA was. And so last year you had games against UTSA, which I understand UTSA is still in the conference. But like Rice 199 again in the conference. Louisiana Tech last year was 165. Western Kentucky last year was 173. So Middle Tennessee was in the middle of the pack. FIU was 210. So you had those games that kind of buffered you a little bit. This year, how many games? Temple was 205. UTSA is 302. Those are the only 2 games of teams outside the top 200 in Temple.
Yes.
And Rice, you only play Rice once.
And here's the thing too, is you go from playing Temple, East Carolina, Charlotte, and then you go to SMU, which is ranked 51. And I think that's going to be a game where we really decide how good this team's going to be the rest of the way through, because you're either going to be in that not top tier of this conference, but you're either in that upper echelon or you're going to be right where you're at in the 80.
Yeah. I
80s
think
area.
11-7 is a pretty fair number right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like 12-6, considering you have those 3 games against top, those 2 ranked teams. If I'm saying that and I'm saying you split against SMU, that's 4 losses right there.
Yeah.
So in the rest of these games,
how good is South Florida? I always get confused with South Florida.
135.
135.
UAB's taking a little bit of a dip. Tulane is really good. They play them twice. Wichita State is pretty good. Play them once. Only play UTSA once. Only play Rice once. Like, the schedule is doing them no favors here.
No, and I think in these first games, like before SMU, you play Wichita State, Tulane, Temple, East Carolina, Charlotte. What do you want them to go in those 7 games? 6 games? 5 games. I can't. Sorry, I missed the rows there. 5 games. Yeah, 5
games. 4-1.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think you have to go 4-1.
4-1. Well, then they need to beat SMU at home.
That's not including SMU.
Yeah. Okay. If you include the SMU game, that's 5-1.
Yeah,
I think they need to go 5-1.
I think you'd have to go 5-1.
So then FAU loss, UAB win. That's 6-2. USF, Tulsa, SMU, Memphis. Your next 4, you probably go 2-2 in that stretch. Put you at what, 8-4?
Yes.
8-4 going into the back half, which is UAB, UTSA, Tulane, East here. Yeah, I think 11-7 is probably accurate. Honestly, I'm gonna say 12-6 as my official prediction for this.
You're gonna say 12-6.
I think 12-6, which will not. I mean, that could be third. That could be third. Them, SMU, and like whoever else. 12-6 will be like the fight for third. There'll probably be 3 teams that like 10, 11, 12 wins in that range.
I like 12-6. I'll keep the 11-7 just to keep it different. But
Is
yeah.
12-6? 12-6 is a success though.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think 11-7 is successful. I think I'm just so used to the uber success that this team has had in the past,
Well,
and not having two top 20 teams and one top 10 team in your conference schedule. So
well, yeah, and that's the thing is, if they like, the non-conference is always going to hang over this team, right?
yeah,
Just like it would have hung over the team in, what was it, 2020? Yeah, the
yeah,
2020 team that was sort of started off 2-5. Like,
yeah,
it would have hung over that team if they didn't go and win the conference at 14-4 and beat Western Kentucky at home, and we have that moment like to hold on to. And it's the similar type thing in 2021 when they lost all 4 of the good games they played in the non-conference that year. If you go look, Arkansas, Mississippi State, West Virginia, Loyola, their 5 wins in the non-conference that year were against teams in the bottom, like what was it, 341, 351, 357, not ranked. Like, those were the non-conference wins that year. But they
yeah,
went on and beat Purdue in the NCAA tournament. So ultimately, what determines your season is the conference and the postseason. And that's
right,
what this program has always been built on. And I think that that's going to be the case this year. Once again, like, if it would have been great if they had beaten LSU and Boise and Fordham, because then we come in being like, hey, maybe they can compete with Memphis and FAU, and maybe they can do some things. Maybe they'd probably top 50 in KenPom at that point,
yeah,
but they didn't. And so now it becomes, get to 12-6, be a top 3 team here, try somehow to get lucky in the tournament, and or make the NIT again. And Ross Hodge first year.
Problem is the NIT just has no luster anymore. That
I don't.
sucks.
It's so weird. Yeah, this is the first year with it going to what, 40, 64, 30, 32.
I don't care how it's made up. I don't care how many teams there are in it. But
Oh, yeah.
you don't take
Well,
the
North
conference.
Texas will get in. North Texas will get in if they go 12, 11-7, 12-6 in conference.
Probably.
Yeah. Which year one under Ross Hodge on a team that I like, but we both know like has limitations. I'm not too mad at it if that is the end goal. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, LSU Shreveport on December 30th, and then Wichita State on January 4th to start off conference play, and that's when it gets real. All right, that's it. That's all we got. There's a holiday podcast for y'all. Hope you all had a great Christmas break, holiday break. We're all back to work at this point, so it's real life. No more
real life.
not in school. So
I know.
I miss it. I miss those 2-week breaks.
Sitting here contemplating my life right now, why I'm not off till January 3rd or whatever it is.
Wishing I was 14.
I actually work on the 1st.
Oh,
covering for people because that's the holiday I picked.
that sucks.
It's tough.
That sucks. I'll be watching football. The college football playoff games.
Yeah, I'm sorry LSU's not there.
That's okay. That's all right. They lead off the day, actually, January 1st, 11 a.m. Tune in.
Who are they playing?
ReliaQuest Bowl against Wisconsin.
Wow.
Yep. Just wait.
Big opponent.
Just wait. All right. That's what we got for y'all today. Hope y'all enjoyed the episode. Leave us a like, comment, share, and subscribe. And yeah, let us know what you think. Follow us on Twitter, GreenRoomUNT, or X, GreenRoomUNT. I think we're at like 466. And then also check our YouTube. Check our YouTube real quick. We were at 298 last I checked.
I think it's still 298, but let me look.
This is the video that's going to get us over the top right here.
We've been saying it every week since I shaved my head, Bruni.
298
still. We're not at 300 by next podcast. We're just quitting. My video had 1K views. Isn't that crazy?
Yes. That video got us some subs. That video did some stuff for us right there.
That is our most viewed video.
Yeah. That was the one.
Let's look at these comments. Some of them.
No, UTSA last year was more viewed. Good times.
I'm glad we get like UTSA fans in here now.
I know. I'm glad we get all the different types of fans. It's great.
We got like I forgot the guy's name, but shout him out. The guy from the it was like a random team that we played. I can't remember if it was like Memphis or something like that. Was it? It was Cal. That's what it was. It was Cal, and he's just like, man, I love listening to this podcast. It's great. That's great.
All right. Yeah. Thank y'all for joining us, and we will talk to y'all later.